Hi, Dr. Lisa Thompson here, and I'm coming to you from my home office outside of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and welcome to Lessons in Leadership, where we're discussing principles and concepts to expanding our influence to do more and be more for the people we serve. Today we're talking about education. Leaders are passionate about learning. 1940 presidential candidate Wendell Wilikie stated that education is the mother of leadership, and I agree with that statement 100%. Why is that? Leaders are constantly looking to grow their influence to do more and be more for the people they serve. And in order to grow their influence, they must always be learning. Leaders have an absolute passion for learning and are constantly developing the skills so that they can be the leader everyone is looking for. And here's how they do that. They use the invest, learn, and teach method. Leaders first observe the environment around them and other leaders as well to find out what makes them successful. You see, there's a hidden order to everything, and when you can uncover the hidden order, that's how you accelerate your success and growth. Now, once leaders find that hidden order, they're going to make the decision to invest their time and or money learning that skill. And once they've developed that skill, they're going to take massive and immediate action by going out and sharing that knowledge to spread the success with their followers. Authentic teaching comes from when people freely share their knowledge, because teaching is an unselfish activity. Think about it. If you're constantly learning, and you are not sharing, you are being selfish. And this was a very big lesson for me to learn. And I just want to tell you a quick story of how I turned my thinking around. When I was in college, I took my studies very seriously, and I didn't go out and I was the big party animal. I really studied, and I would create these study guides to help me learn the materials so I could get an A in my classes. And what I began to do is I began to share my study guides with my friends, and they really loved it, and I shared it freely because I wanted them to get A's too, because we were all in this together so that we could get our degrees and go out there and have profitable careers. But something happened after I graduated from school and I began to work in the real world. I still began to share the knowledge like I did when I was in college, but then I noticed something where my colleagues began to profit and get compensated for the knowledge that I shared, and I was still held back. I wasn't getting any compensation myself. So I began to develop this really limiting belief and began to see my colleagues as competition, and everyone as competition rather than collaboration. And that held me back for a very, very long time. And it wasn't until I had to re-tap into my source code. And I mentioned this before in another podcast, that God gives us unique talents and abilities that we are born with, that we are to use to be someone for someone and for to grow our influences so that we can serve others. And one of the elements of my source code, and when I mean source code, guys, it's not what your physical makeup is or your biological. This is your talents and gifts. And one of my talents and gifts was teaching. And when I closed up and I stopped sharing, I was not operating from my source code, and I began to not live the life that I was meant to lead. I was not honoring myself, and I was not honoring God. And when I began to share my knowledge again with people, and I began to open it up, and I did not care anymore if people were compensated because of it. Because I made the decision that I'm going to be operating from my source code, and that is teaching. If I am teaching, I'm operating from my source. I'm doing what God meant me to do. And if I continue to provide value, I will eventually be compensated and rewarded. So once I began to share my knowledge again and not caring whether I was compensated or not, all of a sudden things began to change, and then I wound up getting compensated, not always in the form of financial compensation, but other doors and opportunities were made available to me where I could expand my influence to do more and be more for the people that I serve. Now, leaders are always looking to find that next generation of leaders. And in order for leaders to find those new crop of leaders to lay their hands on, they always need to be sharing and teaching. So let me ask you a question. What are you passionate about? What are things that you love to learn? Go out there today and start sharing that knowledge with others. You can do it by setting up a blog. You could do videos, anything to go out there and just share that what you have been given. Because there is a biblical principle. Given it shall be given to you with good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Because the more knowledge you give, the more it will come back to you. And then you will give more because you will be fulfilled and you are going to be operating from your source. You're sharing something with the world and you're making the world a better place. If you found today's information valuable, please leave a comment and share. And if you would like to know more information on leadership, mindset, and other strategies to help you be someone for someone, stop by my blog at drlisamthompson.com and make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you never miss future episodes of Lessons in Leadership. Thank you so much for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.